Now that's good history.
I know you've gotten speeding tickets before. What would you think if the President of the United States got a speeding ticket?
Hey, I'm president, so how can you give me a ticket?
What a way to get out of a ticket. Like, hey, do you know who I am? Hey, you, back there. Come on down. Grab a bar stool. Grab your favorite beverage. Let's toast some history. Welcome back to A Toast to History. Now let's start off with doing some Ohio math. O-H-I-O, I heard you. I heard you, Ohioans. We've had 8 presidents in the White House. Now 3 of them were not elected to a second term. 3 of them died in office. So only 2 of them made it to a second term. One of those 2 died just before he started even serving his second term. So technically, by default, our best president from the great state of Ohio, the heart of it all, is right here with us. Ulysses S. Grant. And to be a little bit more fancy for Mr. Grant today, I love you, Hat. I love you. You got me through a lot of them, but you know, let's make this official. Now, we know you know a lot about Grant during the Civil War, him and his being a general. But we're not going to go over that. Not because it's controversial, because it is pretty freaking cool, but I could be talking about that for the rest of this week. So, we're going to tell you the stuff about Grant you didn't know, because it's his birthday, and we honor this man today. Ulysses Simpson Grant was the 18th President of the United States. He was the commanding general of the U.S. Army. He was the acting U.S. Secretary of War. Grant did not hold a lot of titles, but when he did hold a title, you always saw him at the top. I know I told you I wasn't going to go in the Civil War, but you can't hit Grant without his military career. It defined him. So, I'm going to give you some quick notes, as much as I can. He was born Hiram Ulysses Grant. He hated the name. His initials spell hug. You talk about probably getting picked on in grade school. This was going to be him. Your initials are hug, really? Later, he decides he wants to attend West Point. You can't just sign up to attend West Point. You can't get a scholarship to go to West Point. You have to get a congressman or the president of the United States to say, I vouch for you, and you go into the academy. Somehow, some way, his family finds a congressman that is going to promote him, sponsor him, send him in. He writes down the wrong name. He puts Ulysses Simpson Grant because his mother's maiden name was Simpson. He's like, awesome, I hated that name anyway. Secondly, that's a federal document written by a congressman. If he says that's not my name, you don't get the nomination. He said he wanted a Ulysses Simpson Grant to come here, not a Hiram. So I'm sorry he messed up, but you're out. So he doesn't say anything. Yes, me, present. He graduates. The Mexican War breaks out. So, of course, they need every young, able-bodied officer they can. And, of course, West Point being the top academy in the country, this is where they're going to go. He gets enlisted. He goes down there. He's actually fights with Zachary Taylor, who would become president later on. And he distinguished him very well. Says, hey, how great of a job he does. After the war is over, Army doesn't really pay anything. I have kids at home and a wife. I need better money. So he goes and he tries several different jobs. And he doesn't really do good at any of them. He really doesn't like any of them. But he's trying to make ends meet for his family. So the Civil War breaks out. And he's like, you know what? I was pretty good that last time. And my country needs me. I'm going to sign up. So he signs up. He finds a small command. And he kind of easily starts raising the ranks because of how good his performance is. Getting all the way up to general. And at the Battle of Vicksburg, which happens the day after Gettysburg, they call him in. They like, we want to get terms because they had him under siege for such a long time. We want to get terms. And he's like, I have unconditional surrender. You will surrender to me or we will keep fighting. So Unconditional surrender. That's what he says. So they start calling him U.S. Grant. Unconditional surrender Grant. And that's how he does through the entire rest of the war. He doesn't do terms. You surrender or we're going to finish you. I shall take no backward steps, how he would say. The only person he gives terms to is Robert E. Lee So, wait. I'm starting to talk about Civil War. I apologize, everybody. I'm starting to rant. I'm going on Civil War. I told you I wasn't going to talk about it. Less than a week after the war is over, Lincoln gets assassinated. And now it's like, it's bittersweet. We just lost our president, but the war's over. But since there's no Lincoln there, basically they give almost all the credit to U.S. Grant. So now we'll start turning. Very popular guy. Hey, why don't you become president? I'm sure you'll get a lot of support. This man has no political experience at all. Never had anything. Other than military and doing some odd jobs, he's never had any political experience. And they're asking him. It's like taking Joe down the street and saying, hey, want to be president? Sounds cool, man. Where do I sign? Okay, the people want me to do this. I'll do it for the American people. I'm here to serve. I served in the Mexican War for the people. I served the Civil War for the people. This country needs somebody. I'll do it. All right, where do I sign? I'm in. He wins by a landslide, both elections. His wife becomes a highly respected first lady. They love her as much as he loves her. She was his pride and joy. As needless to say, with no political experience, mistakes happen. A lot of scandals happen during his presidency. None that I'm going to go into because it's his birthday. You all who are watching know how I roll, and I don't disrespect people on their birthday. But he decides he runs it like his military campaigns. And he delegates. This is the goal. This is what we want to do. And he trusts the people around him. And some of the people around him that he trusts were not so trustworthy and kind of throw him under the bus. During the military, you can court-martial him. You can even shoot the man in some situations. You can't do that as presidency. That's one reason why generals have such a hard freaking job becoming president. It's a totally different ballgame. But what he did do well during his presidency, he enforces the 15th Amendment. All men have the right to vote. Sorry, ladies, it's coming, but baby steps. He enforces the Civil Rights Act. He starts rebuilding the South in the restoration efforts. There's still problems in the South. Yes, the war is over, but slavery and racism is still a thing. So the KKK are trying to keep blacks from voting. And they're using intimidation factors. They're hanging people. They're burning down homes. And they're really causing havoc down there. And he sends troops down there to squash it. He kills a lot of them. A lot of these KKK members. He arrests a lot of these KKK members. And basically, KKK kind of tap out. This is probably his best part of his presidency. He takes the Civil War that he fought to defend. He takes the rights that he was fighting to defend during the Civil War and basically becomes a champion of it. The only Ohioan to win 2 terms. We went about that. Another Ohio plug, everybody. Another Ohio plug. I still might have a few more somewhere. Hold on. After his presidency, this shining star, this icon of America, starts to go out. He has to forfeit his military pension in order to become president. And we didn't take care of our presidents like we do today. So he makes some business dealings while he's president. Because like his presidency with all the scandals, he trusted people. And these people screwed him over, took his money, basically stole it from him. So he leaves the White House, he's a pauper. One of the most iconic figures in American history. And he's a pauper. And his health is failing. But he wants to ensure his family's survival. So Mark Twain, you know the famous author? comes to him like, I would like to write your memoirs. Deal. But I want 75% of the royalties, which is unheard of at the time. But Mark Twain agrees. And this man works tirelessly trying to finish this. And his health keeps failing and failing and failing. But he finally completes the work. Less than a week later, he dies. But he ensures that his family lives on off the money he makes from these memoirs. No matter what you think of the man, no matter how good of a president he was, that's honorable. That's a man who took care of his family. Now that I said that, we have beef, man. We got some beef. And it's this little thing I said over here, up here in the corner. We have 8 presidents. 5 are buried in Ohio. There are 3 not. Benjamin Harrison, Indianapolis, traitor. William Howard Taft, you're in Arlington Cemetery. It's the most famous cemetery in the United States. I'll give you a pass. Not happy. I'll give you a pass. You're the best president we've ever had, and you were buried in New York City. Ohio has had its fair share of black eyes, and you're not helping running to New York. I'm just saying that right now. You're not helping. I know it looks like a very beautiful tomb. I have not seen it yet. I plan to. But, still feel it's kind of traitorous. But it's your birthday. Happy birthday. I forgive you. We all know that Grover Cleveland was the only president that was married inside the White House. There's a plug. Go check out my Cleveland video. His daughter was married in the White House. He had his daughter, and he had the ceremony and the marriage in the White House for his daughter. Now that we went high, we got to go low. The night that President Lincoln was shot at Ford's Theater, this man was invited with his wife to attend. Now, he said there was a scheduling conflict and he couldn't make it. Now, there are a lot of speculations why he couldn't make it, but I'll let another historian tell you that one. This was before Secret Service. You can't tell me this man would not have had security. General of the Army just defeated the South. He's going to have an aide. He's going to have a camp. He's going to have a security guard. Now, funner fact, I brought it down a bit. Let's bring it back up. This man was an adrenaline junkie. In 1866, a year after the Civil War, he gets in a carriage race with Andrew Johnson. The President of the United States, our 17th president, gets in a carriage ride against him to try and beats him. Beats the President of the United States in a carriage ride in Central Park, New York. Oh my gosh. Where was that in my history book? On this corner, we have Ulysses Grant. On this corner, we have Andrew freaking Johnson. This man was the President of the United States and got a $20 ticket for going too fast down the street heading to the White House. Wait a minute, you say, there's no cars back then. It was on horseback. He was riding a horse too fast down the street heading back to the White House, and he gets a $20 ticket. The guy's the most iconic man in the nation. You're like, do you know who I am? Right there. How many presidents you don't get a ticket these days? Come on. Not a warning? To Ulysses Simpson Grant. It's your birthday. I'm not going to bring up Hiram, but we may hug it out later. He was an honest man, and that was his fault. You want to give him a fault? He was an honest man. And how many times his politics beat down the honest man? He was a good husband to his wife. He was a good father. He served the American people. He won the Civil War. Look at all he did do. And with his dying breath, finished a memoir that ensured his family would carry on after he was gone. You know, we can talk about what he did wrong. And you can say he wasn't a good politician. I'll agree with you. But this guy was a man. This man was a good man. And there are too few good men in this world. To Ulysses Grant, to a good man. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Now that's good history. Wait a minute. Don't go. Don't go. I get to you click off during the credits. I do too. They're boring. But I'm trying to make them not so boring. Because you're going to miss the Jared Challenge. First off, I got to toast the person who got the Jared Challenge. This is to Diane Murphy. A toast to you. You know your history. Now, everybody, show's over technically. So, let's rewind and go back to norms. Boom. But if you want to be toasted on my next episode, you gotta beat the Jared. First person on my Instagram, on my YouTube, or my Facebook will get toasted by me if you can beat me. So I say, bring it. My next honoree, every president who has ever taken the office puts his hand on the Bible, raises his hand, and I promise to defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States. Now, this president was the last man who actually signed that document that he promised to defend and uphold. If you know who he is, put him down below. And not only will I toast him, I will toast you. And don't you dare Google it. We have libraries. We have the History Channel. We have a friggin' book. Now, let's see who knows their history.